got a little carried away with this review, so I had to record a little intro piece for this song I've been listening to like crazy for the last few days. It actually grew on me, and in the end, I will say yes. I love it. It's dominated by four musical highlights. This part, where the band just rocks out when the drums kick in. This smooth intro, which was way more prevalent on the live version I listened to, and I attached the watch along here at the end of this release. This more controversial, maybe jarring riff, it really doesn't sound that pretty, but it's a major part of the character of this song. And my favorite part, the live chorus, which, as we will compare and contrast, does not sound like this in the studio version, which I think was epic. But for now, my first time reaction. Alright, I got another first time reaction. Never heard this song before. I'm in the middle of listening to the Joy Formidable's Into the Blue. I'm on track 6. I'm headed to work, so maybe I could get a couple tracks in. We'll see. But I'm gonna hit play. This one is called Gotta Feed My Dog is what it's called. Alright, let's see what we got.
This is missing fire, the rain and that smoky haze. Away from the dawn has come. This is the wall to lean on. I slept heavy on a floorboard, static but alright. Away from, I'm on the run. Yeah, I gotta feed my dog.
I like the beat, but I obviously have no idea what she's saying. I'm gonna have to read the lyrics later.
myself. I will find you being bored slow, 'cause nothing settles this far away from home. When you're stepping back, when you're stepping back, when you're stepping back, I will find you.
All right, interesting track. I was rocking out to it. I dug it. I could have danced to that if I was there live. I would have headbanged at least. I don't know about dancing, but all right. Well, once again, I have no idea what they were saying, so I'm gonna have to wait till I get home, and I'm gonna delve into the lyrics and see. I'll give it a thumbs up for now. I'll give it a point. I might go up or down based on the lyrics and see what I can get out of them. So I'm gonna put this on hold for now, and I'm gonna come back when I've already listened to the lyrics and written down some thoughts for you guys. So we'll be back. All right, I'm here recording an addendum piece to my first time reaction to Gotta Feed My Dog, just to give it some more thoughts before I release this video. First time I reacted to it was 13 days ago. As I speak right now, it's the middle of the night right now, on March 2nd. It's been a couple weeks, almost a couple weeks. I just haven't had time to sit down at my computer and really edit and make a coherent video out of it, which I really like doing. It's a hobby of mine, which is why I do this channel. Not really to see if it gets subscribers. It would be nice. I've already bumped into a few people that were interested in the songs that I reviewed, which is kind of cool. Also, just because I would like to have my thoughts on this stuff, you know, somewhere for posterity. I think it would be interesting to go back to years from now if I ever listen to these songs again and be like, well, what did I think of the first time I listened to them? And, you know, I guess subsequent listens too, because sometimes a song grows on me, so maybe I'll adjust what I think of it and, you know, like it more or like it less. Maybe I'll grow sick of a song. Whatever. In any case, that's why I'm doing this channel. That's why I'm doing a lot of music reactions on this channel. Not that it's going to be all I do. I really want to do like a variety of things, just whatever interests me or whatever I'm watching on TV or whatever I want to talk about from life. So that's what I'm going to do here, as opposed to specific things I'll do on my other channels. Let's go back to the song we're doing here. Gotta feed my dog. So I'm here hanging out with my dog, ironically. When I first saw the name of the song, obviously that's what you think of, especially when you have a dog. You're like, oh, gotta feed my dog. I might relate to this, you know? But as I was listening to the song, I really didn't understand the lyrics, which I did mention at the time. I kind of talked over the song. We kind of messed up the flow of the reaction a bit, I feel, when I look back on my recording of it. But I really didn't understand anything the first time I listened to it. But before I get to the lyrics, I do want to mention that it started with the lyrics. So there was no intro. There was no like few bars of instrumental or anything that led into them singing. They just started with the song on this one, just started with the vocals. So because of that, because of the unusual nature of the start to the song, I want to show how it led into that song, because I think that's important in that case, where it matters more what was going on leading into it. I'm going to go back to the last song we were reviewing on this channel, the track before this, track 5, Farrago, And it ended with that riff that I didn't like at first, but eventually it grew on me because the composition kind of was centered around it, and it kind of made it work. So in the end, it kind of won me over. So that's what leads into this song, that riff, and after it's already gone through this whole dynamic journey of the songs surrounding that riff, and then it just plays the riff again to end the song. So I'll just play how that ended and how it leads into how this song starts. This one. This is the riff. Okay, so that's it. That cuts out. Then right away.
This is missing fire, the rain and that smoky haze. Away from the dawn has come. This is the wall to lean on.
Alright, so that's how that transitioned into that song. I like that transition. I think that was done well. I think that was smooth. And this first part, okay, so this is where the lyrics kick in. Let's go back to my first reaction and let's do a watch along to that. And we'll talk about the lyrics from there. So I put the first verse up for my initial reaction video.
This is missing fire, the rain and that smoky haze. Away from the dawn has come. This is the wall to lean on. I slept heavy on a floorboard, static but alright. Away from, I'm on the run. Yeah, I gotta feed my dog.
Okay, so before we talk about that little first interlude, there's a bunch of interludes in this song. There's one here, there's one in between these two verses which actually has words, but I consider it an interlude, which I'll show you in a second. And then there's two more at the end, and then an outro too over here. These are all the parts with the lyrics, the parts without lyrics. Over here, if you could see that, these spaces are 4 interludes and an outro. So that's kind of what I want to focus on more, because the lyrics, as you saw, I just didn't understand any of them. The lyrics are a wash for me the first time I listened to it, or again, even freaking reading them with them right in my face. This is like a freaking mystery puzzle lyric that you have to solve the freaking puzzle of what psychosis they have or what type of mental illness they have. And you have to decipher all this weirdness to understand it, and I don't get it. Maybe I'll look up what ChatGPT says that they think it means. I have an inkling, maybe, but most of the lyrics I think are just gibber, jabber, just random jargon that really makes no sense. And you could make sense of it in many ways, but I think in the end, generally, it just makes no sense. So I don't really want to spend time thinking about the lyrics here. What I want to think about is the composition and how these 4 interludes complemented each other and led into the outro and what I think of the sound of it. So let's see what we got. So we had that first verse, which actually, even though the lyrics weren't that good, I cheated because I wanted to find a live version of this to play as a watch along here for us too. I saw how this sounded because I was just looking at the sound to see if it sounded okay for a watch along. So I saw like the first verse, and it sounds so good. She sounds so good doing this song. It's really like mystical. So that doesn't really come through here for me, listening to it on the record. But watching how it looked live, she is really amazing. So I think that kind of adds to it now for me, which I'll show you in a minute. We'll get to that. But I'll right now stick with just how this first part of her just whispering leads into the first interlude, which sounds really cool. The sound of this first interlude sounds like it's a spooky movie about some cool, spooky character that is just doing something or setting up things or setting up concoctions or something Halloweeny or witchy or spiritual or mystical. So the first interlude I really am into.
This is missing fire, the rain and that smoky haze. Away from the dawn has come. This is the wall to lean on. I slept heavy on a floorboard, static but alright.
Here we go. Damn, you see that part? Murder. That part slayed, man. Honestly, if the whole song was just kind of like that fucking interlude right there was so cool. That sounded fucking awesome to me. So, alright, so then it goes back to the whisper thing. So here we go. We're gonna have another verse before it leads into the next interlude. Alright, I would consider this the second interlude, but there's words over it. She's kind of slow singing some kind of slow drawling words, but it does have that first instance of that fast little riff, which becomes a keyboard riff and a guitar riff that they use as a theme in this song. So it gets really intense. See, this song has a specific identity. It is its own type of song. Like when you hear this can't be replaced with a acoustic version of this song. Like there isn't one from what I saw, because they've been doing an acoustic tour and they're doing some songs from this album, but I looked at the track listing of some of the concerts they did, and it doesn't look like this is one that they turned into an acoustic piece, because I don't think this could be really a stripped down acoustic piece. This is what it is. So this riff is central in that. Like you can't do this riff in a calm way. It's a very like frantic riff that gives the song this anxious feeling. Anxious, dramatic feeling. So let's listen to it again from the end of the last verse into this little interlude slash part of the verse that is different from everything else so far in this song. This one. So then it drops into what was the first interlude, but now it has vocals over it. Some dramatic ass vocals, which end with this part right here. When you're stepping back, I will find you. That's the only part that gives me some kind of clue about what this could mean. Because other than that, every other lyric to me is just random jargon. But when she stops and says this, it sounds different. It sounds more focused. It sounds like it's genuine clue that could tell you what this song really actually means. This part. Well, that part sounded really cool. The lyrics, when she says, when you're stepping back, and then, gosh, I'll just play it from there again. That part is really nice. See, now that I'm listening to this more in detail again, I'm starting to think I might have to give it at least something a little more than a thumbs up, at least more than a point. We'll see, hold on. But I did like how it went into the first interlude. I used that again for another verse where it got really intense, where the first time they used it didn't have any words. Second time it did. And then it leads to this part. Alright, so there's me impressed with the solo on the first listen. They just basically break into a freaking crazy guitar solo. She's just going at it. The riff that came earlier on, going all at it. Like I said, when you do this song, it's gotta feel the same way every time. You're just getting into this mindset to do this song. So we're in the middle of a solo. Alright. Okay, well that's really good. Okay, so the solo, I don't know if I will say I really love that riff that is the solo. It's impressive. It's an impressive thing to do. To see any guitarist do that, I'd be like, damn, you are good at guitar. The sound of it, though, I don't know. I don't know if it's just musically appealing to me personally. But the way it leads into this next part of the interlude right here, where the drum beat just kicks in and it's just a drum beat, that part is smooth. That part is really smooth. Let's listen to that again. And then, yes! Yes! That part is fucking good. I really like that part too. Oh man. I don't know why she keeps having to go back to I gotta feed my dog. It's kind of like probably people who've had a dog understand that no matter what you do, you always have to head back home to feed your dog, so you can't really even go do too many things. I don't know what kind of mental dilemma or mental problem this person in this song has. I can't really explain it. But it does keep going back to that theme of I gotta feed my dog. It's just a universal theme. I can't get any more out of it than that. Like I said, I might consult with Chat GPT in a bit. But alright, so after that, it jumps into another interlude, the last little one before we hit the last verse. See, I'm really feeling it there. A lot happened there. I gotta stop it. I gotta go back at least a little bit, man. Okay, so when I hit this interlude, that was nice. It went back to that first interlude, which was a part of the song that the feel I really liked. Then it goes into the last verse, which has vocals over that same part, which is fire. Fire little part. Man, I really am considering raising my review on this now. It really sounds cool. And at the end, where they get to the last part of the lyrics where it says, when you're stepping back, I will find you, it brings in that guitar solo again, that like they bring that in there at that point, on top of how crazy the lyrics are. And then I will find you is the last line. Like, damn. And from there, it has like a perfect launching point. Jumps into a fucking solo again. good. Oh man, and then it leads into this orchestral part that I didn't really see in the earlier songs on this album. I don't know if it's an orchestra or just keyboard sounds that sound like an orchestra. And that's why I really wanted to find out who did the parts of this song. So I searched it out on the internet to see if I could find a live one, which I haven't seen yet. I'm going to watch it here now to see who plays the keyboard parts on this. If there's a guy who plays keyboard up there, or maybe it's the bassist who gets off the bass and goes to play keyboards. It's interesting. I'm interested to see who's doing it. We're going to watch that in a minute. I found a video from them doing it back in 2022. I'm excited to see that. But let's finish how this orchestral part at the end sounded. Ends with that. I like how their songs all have musical themes that they build around that come back again in and out of the songs. I really like that about them. So you know what? Upon further reflection on this song, I'm going to change my rating. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. This song had a really cool feel throughout multiple parts of this song. The end part was actually really mystical and awesome. And I think also hearing how she does it live gave me a different idea for the song than when I just heard it on record without a visual reference. That being said, let's go to the YouTube. I found this performance. I love when people notate the date on the recordings so I can know exactly what time period this is. So this is a year after they recorded this album. This is a good shot. You could see Rhiannon Bryan, or how she's known as Ritzy, on the right over here. There's nothing blocking them, so we could get a pretty good shot of both of them. Here is Rhiannon Davies. They're the 2 main members of the band, and there's a drummer behind them. But from what I gather, these 2 are the main force of the band, the main writers. They have writing credits on every song. The drummer doesn't, so it's one of those deals. Not that he's not important. He's a big part of their sound. Let's hear how this sounds. So this is the Joy Formidable live from 2022. That would be 4 years ago now in Philadelphia. Well, interesting to see how when they do it live, they actually did have the little before the singing started to give the crowd a kind of a feel of the song before they started singing. So that's a little different composition from how it is on the record. But I like it. It sounds really mystical here. The way it sounds with the bass and guitar going together with that nice soft little riff that becomes the backbone of the song. Oof. Oh, this sounds so good. And then she's gonna jump in. Yes, that sounded so perfect. The mix in this venue they had just sounded spot on perfect. And then they just break into the rock. Hell yeah. Alright, so that's interesting that he did all of it with bass. From what I remember in the song, I thought it sounded like keyboard, but he just did the riff on his bass with a little extra filter on it. This bootleg of this performance sounds really amazing. So the whole time he's doing bass, he never left the bass. I thought he was going to jump onto the keyboards for some of it because it seemed like some of the sounds on the record were keyboard, but no, I guess it was all bass. Interesting. Yeah, she's really cool. Her outfit is really cool. Interesting. So I couldn't really tell what audio effects. A lot of it came from just the guitars and the bass itself. They made it sound kind of spacious and eerie. I might listen to that part again. Yeah, I hear some keyboards. No one's playing keyboards. Someone must be playing the sound, because I don't think they're getting that sound off the guitar. good standing ovation for that song, as they should. 2 thumbs up again from me. The live version definitely helped give me a better picture of what this song is spiritually and the way it's supposed to feel.
A big thank you to Cuffed Up as well for joining us on this leg of the tour. Thank you very much. It's lovely having you with us. Thank you very, very much. And thank you. Thank you to all of you as well. Lovely to see you again. Thank you for all welcome. And give us some laughs as well. Some memories, right? So hopefully, I'm hoping we won't leave it anywhere near as long next time until we see you again. Sometime next year, we're gonna go away, make some more music, try and finish our solo projects, climb a few mountains, you know?
Oh, they have solo projects, huh? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Lovely to see you again, Philly. All the best with your baseball.
Oh, well, she's lovely. I'll save this link. I'll subscribe to him. Maybe I'll need some other videos from this concert, as I did find some other videos on another guy's channel that I might use for some later watch-alongs. But I did want to mention actually one last thing into this addendum, which I don't know if it's worth it or not, but I'm going to take a peek at it just to see, because someone made a fan-made video with a dog, a music video to this song, which I'm actually kind of interested in to see. This is on someone's channel called Deep Focus. They seem to be Joy Formidable fans.
This is missing fire, the rain and that smoky haze. Away from the dawn has come. This is the wall to lean on. I slept heavy on a floorboard, static but alright. Away from, I'm on the run. Yeah, I gotta feed my dog.
It works. It works as a music video because they've hooked up their camera to the undercarriage of their dog somehow. It's actually really cool. You got some nice shots in this video. Overall, it's not really an artistic video. They just kind of laced together a few minutes of footage from this recording and put it over this song. But that's all I'll play of it. Alright, so that's it. I'm at 2 thumbs up on this song. Here's the updated track listing from this album. And I will carry on with the rest of my review whenever I get a chance. I'm actually liking delving deep into these songs. It's actually very nice and therapeutic for me because I got a lot of things going on in the world, and I think the world is acting very stupid right now, or a lot of people and things in the world is very stupid and sad, even though, you know, you come to expect it in this type of world we live in. The balance, we have the balance of yin and yang, and different people opposing each other. How can you really expect the world to go any different in this horrible condition that we call humankind? So that's why I like delving into these songs. I like thinking about humankind more abstractly and why we are like this than actually looking at situations that actually happened that are really sad and tragic. Also, it's given me like a time to just kind of not think about that, not dwell on it. So I've been recording here for almost an hour, rambling on about one song on one Joy Formidable album that is not a famous band. But when I listen to music, I really want to think about the music. I think it's important. I think these two people spent a lot of time writing this song and arranging it and learning to perform it and performing it live for people and giving people this experience. I think that's a really cool thing. They spent a lot of time on it. I could at least spend a few minutes trying to appreciate it. I thank them for that, and I'm going to continue going through their songs and thinking about them deeply, as this has kind of been an enjoyable experience. So I'm going to try to finish the rest of this album, which I'm already doing. I know it's kind of been mostly what I've been doing on this channel, although I'm technically supposed to talk about everything. But at this point, I'm currently in the middle of this album, and I'm going to focus on it and give it my thought until I finish it, because it's one of the first albums that I'm reviewing since I started getting back into music. Used to be big into music, and like my college days, freaking listened to so many bands, so many albums, and I'm starting my ratings database, and I'm going to go back and revisit some old songs, look deeper into lyrics. I hope to have a big database of cool reviews and discussions about these different pieces of art and life that we come across. Not that I don't want to talk politics. You know, I would at some point, but I kind of think it's mostly pointless because whatever's going to happen is just going to happen. You can't really influence it one way or another. And a lot of it is very tragic, understandable, predictable, and yet tragic to think about. And music has kind of always been my escape from that. The sounds, a lot of times I will look at the lyrics. This one I kind of glossed over it just because I didn't really think it, not that it didn't merit jumping into it. I'm sure someone could come up with a lot of interesting things to say about these lyrics. But for me, mostly what really moves me about music is the actual music itself and how it sounds and how it gives me this spiritual feeling of just like, oh, yes, thank God. We're kind of away from life now for a second. And that's just such a nice thing sometimes. But okay, I've rambled on and on enough about this song. I'm giving it 2 points. And we're moving on to track 7 after this. So I'll see you when we do that. Talk to y'all later. Alright, I'm back. I know I keep doing this. I really should get off of this song, but I have a few more things to say about it, so I'm going to add a little addendum piece here as I am editing my last addendum. Getting ready to release this, I just had a few more thoughts because I've also been listening to this live performance. I've been hung up on this song, I'll be honest. It's been growing on me. So the live performance that we did a watch along of in the earlier addendum, I have been a big fan of. I've been listening to it over and over, and I think the first time I did the watch along, I really talked over the chorus. I didn't even notice really that the chorus was sung completely differently. It just completely takes on a new life than the way it turned out on the album. I don't know if it's because maybe she just thought she wouldn't be able to get anything soft across with that big band playing behind her. So she ratcheted up the lyrics, went up an octave, and it sounds so freaking awesome. This is how it sounded on the record. And then this is how it sounded when they broke this out live. So yeah, I will say hearing this live version definitely made me feel more for this song, not less. So once again, in addition to giving this live performance a rating that I forgot to give earlier when I watched it, I'm going to give that one 3 points for the live performance. Loved it. And also I'm changing my rating overall on this song. I'm giving it a whole extra point because of how seeing the live version of it made me feel about this song. So yeah, I'm adding another point on my review of this song. But yeah, another thing I wanted to point out about this song is that the instrumentals, which I was really confused by, as originally when I listened to it, I assumed a lot of the sounds were coming from some kind of keyboard. And as it appears from the live recording we just saw, as I've seen several times now, it seems that all the sounds just seem to be mostly effects coming from their 2 guitar amplifiers, the bass and electric guitar, which is amazing that they're so very versatile with all these sounds as just 2 guitars and a drummer. Also, one last thing about this live recording that I'm dwelling on, but I've been just loving it these past few days that I've been listening to it. I will commend the crowd on that day as they made that a perfect little experience. Got rowdy when it merited, and they didn't ruin the experience. They were so respectful, didn't talk during the performance. Even when she whispered, it was completely audible. It was like how Roger Waters wants it to be, like when he snapped at those fans in Montreal for popping off firecrackers during the show, ruining the vibe. Nobody ruined the vibe here. So this was a really cool bootleg for me to watch and review. Excellent performance. Before we move on from it though, another part of the live version that really smacked for me was in the 3rd interlude after the guitar solo shredding, and then it took a step back. and calm down, I mentioned that originally that I thought that part was really smooth. Nice. Another thing I will mention, just to complete this addendum for this song and move on from it for a while, who knows, maybe I'll come back to it someday. It's a deep song, lots of deep lyrics. But the other thing I'll mention real quick, I watched a portion of a fan-made music video someone made to this song that was a camera strapped to their dog, and it got some cool shots. Turns out that was a bit of a tribute to the actual video Joy Formidable made for their YouTube with the same exact concept. Watch the video. Nice little idea. Yes, funny that they got someone to go along with it and make a similar video along the same theme. But I'll only throw the video a half a point as a review, as it was a good way to put content out without much effort on their part. Got some cool shots, but that's about it. And lastly, one last thing to the addendum. Once again, I forgot. I had promised to read what ChatGPT said about the lyrics, as I thought they were too abstract to really delve into myself. So I said, you know what? Real quick, we'll just see what ChatGPT spits out about this. Alright, here's what ChatGPT has to say. Let's dive into this a little bit. I really didn't mean to gloss over the lyrics like this. There really are some beautiful lines, actually, that I will point out. Some beautiful imagery. So, ChatGPT's big takeaway, your main on-camera talking point. Oh, thanks, ChatGPT. It's producing my show here for me. Thank you. This song appears to be about someone who feels emotionally displaced, far from home, far from themselves, and far from the person they miss. And they're trying to hold on to tiny anchors of meaning to keep moving forward. Alright, I just generally refer to that as being crazy, emotionally displaced, I guess you could say is a nice way to put it. But also, yes, the title, Gotta Feed My Dog, is not literal. It's one of those grounding tasks you say to yourself so you don't completely fall apart. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I figured. It was kind of just the only normal thing in this person's life of franticness. Everything else in the song is fragmented on purpose. The whole point is mental disorientation, emotional distance, longing, and survival through chaos, which is basically what I figured without saying as much. The only clear stabilizing line is the one you mentioned. Yeah, well, I mentioned this to it. So when you're stepping back, I will find you. That expresses commitment, loyalty, trying to reconnect with someone who's drifting away, trying to find someone emotionally, the fear of losing them, the effort of holding on while being far from home. That's the emotional core of this song. Everything else are hallucinatory snapshots from someone mentally exhausted but clinging to a person they love. Wow. Nice. Yes, when you look at it all that way, it is well written. Context. The Joy Formidable rarely write straightforward literal lyrics. Ritzy Bryant has talked in several interviews about using surreal imagery to express emotional states. She certainly does that. Much of Into the Blue deals with distance, dislocation, rebuilding connections. Gotta Feed My Dog fits right into that theme. It feels like a collage of emotional flashes from someone who's stretched thin. No official interview directly explains this song, so you're free to frame it as interpretation, but your interpretation will sound smart if you say what I give you below. Oh, thank you. Thank you for making me sound smart. I mean, this is interesting insight. Don't get me wrong. Key themes you can confidently present. Emotional displacement. Far from home, fade, static but alright. Flight, running, lonely droplets. So ChatGPT sees all these quotes as someone who's not rooted, drifting, and mentally exhausted. Long distance connection. When you're stepping back, I will find you. Someone is pulling away, disappearing, or withdrawing. The narrator refuses to let go. It's an emotional pursuit. Using surreal images to express real feelings. Dip my fingers in the tree's blood, cold droplets, lonely from its cloud, which is actually my favorite line in the whole song when it says, the chorus, I want to breathe, or as the way she sung it, On the live version, I want to breathe in every cold droplet that's lonely from its cloud. I want to breathe in every cold droplet that's lonely from its cloud. Man, that's a beautiful line. That's a beautiful line. Sink beneath the mountains, miles across the sky. Sink beneath the mountains, miles across the sky. See, man, you could just see that in your head. And I make it for myself, I will find you being blown like snow. Also some really cool imagery, because nothing settles this far away from home. Profound, profound. Yes, the lyrics are really cool. The lyrics on this song are really, really nice. And then clinging to a grounding task. Gotta feed my dog. It's grounding reality, something physical pulling you back from mental drift. Self-maintenance or responsibility keeps you going. Yeah, man, I gotta admit, I have a dog and I feel that way. As a person who I would consider myself more insane than sane, I would say I'm a insane person maybe on the cusp of sanity instead of a sane person on the cusp of insanity. But yeah, I mean, I I think I definitely see that in this band that personally they do feel the craziness and madness of life, and yet they go along with it and try to make a living and be musicians professionally, but you can tell that life is really heavy to them. And a lot of these things they must have felt before. You just don't write things like this without it being like close to you. I don't feel. I think they really actually are deep. Line by line interpretation. Let's see what we got. This is missing fire, the rain, and that smoky haze, which is the opening line. A feeling of dullness, emotional burnout. Life feels washed out. Wow. ChatGPT really knows us, man. Where are you from? The dawn has come. Someone entering the narrator's life suddenly, like a sunrise. This is the wall to lean on. A person or a moment becomes a support structure. I slept heavy on a floorboard, static but alright. That was a interesting line when I heard it the first time. Let's see what it says. Survival mode, not comfortable but alive. Yeah, well, that's a good interpretation of that. I'm on the run. Yeah, I gotta feed my dog. Life feels chaotic. There are responsibilities keeping them grounded. Feed my dog equals anchoring task. Or this computer really figured out what humanity is formulaically. It's pretty hilarious. The surreal middle section. Dip my fingers in tree's blood. That's a good line. Poetic way of saying reconnecting with nature, earth, grounding energy. The chorus, which according to this interpretation is the clearest possible meaning of this song. I want to breathe in every cold droplet that's lonely from its cloud, which means longing, wanting to absorb every piece of experience from far away. Interesting interpretation. I don't know if I totally see it as that, but fine. Sink beneath the mountains, miles across the sky. Distance feels huge, metaphorical long distance separation. Okay, interesting. Pretty sure about itself there. Okay. I will find you being blown like snow. The person they miss is drifting, fragile and scattered. Okay, that's kind of good. That makes sense. Because nothing settles this far away from home. Emotional instability due to distance. When you're stepping back, I will find you. The emotional anchor line, pieces of the song. Alright, here's the overall interpretation according to ChatGPT. ChatGPT suggested that the lyrics in Gotta Feed My Dog aren't meant to be literal at all. They're more like emotional snapshots from someone who's mentally scattered, far from home, far from stability, and trying to hold on to a person who's drifting away from them. The surreal lines, trees bleeding, droplets, mountains in the sky, are metaphors for emotional distance and disorientation. Meanwhile, mundane lines like I gotta feed my dog act as grounding tasks that pull the narrator back into reality. The clearest line in the whole song and the emotional center is when you're stepping back, I will find you. That's the one part that feels like a direct message, a promise to keep searching for connection, even when someone is withdrawing. Everything else feels more like a mental fog around that commitment. Yeah, if that's what this song is about, which you could basically surmise that it could be about that, although it could be other things, but say you do say this is what that song is about. The song itself is a brilliant artistic representation of this. So yes, my final review of this song, my final rating on this song according to the Malapert review system, I'm going to give it 3 points. Thank you very much. Now we're moving on to the next song. I'll see you on the next one.